It is now 6:38. Yes, I love the Lord. Good evening to you and welcome to the platforms of NRP Media, JA.com, our radio platform. And of course, welcome to our YouTube and Facebook channels as well. We do apologize for the late start of our news of this evening, but here we go. Good evening and welcome to our platforms, nrpmediaj.com, also Facebook and YouTube at nrpmediaja. It's Monday, March 18, 24. I am Leon Nash with the NRP Break of Day newscast. Here are the headlines. The construction industry named as one of the key growth pillars of the economy. Stocks and Securities Limited fraud case investigation is progressing. PNP urges critical response to attaining 2030 vision. EOJ reminds of the deadline to register for inclusion on the May 31, 2024 list. 22-year-old electrician slapped with murder and several other firearm-related charges. In place effective today through to Saturday the 23rd to facilitate the smooth staging of the Intersecondary Schools Association Boys and Girls Championship at the National Stadium. The news of this evening comes to you courtesy of NRP Radio, reaching you where you are, no boundaries, no limitations whatsoever. Stay tuned. The news in detail is up next.
Hi, I'm Genevieve.
And I'm Kalisha. And we are the Christo Praises. You're listening to NRP Media and Radio. Reaching you where you are. No boundaries, no limitations.
Now, the details of the news. Chairman of the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, Dr. Wayne Henry, says that the construction industry is one of the key growth pillars of the economy. This, he says, is evident in the sector plan for construction, one of the 31 sector plans that form the foundation for the Vision 2030 Jamaica National Development Plan. Dr. Henry noted that, that should be Dr. Henry, who was addressing a recent JSIF contractors seminar at the Courtyard in Kingston, noted that at the time of drafting Vision 2030, it was envisioned that the country would develop a dynamic and internationally competitive construction sector with the flexibility and creativity to adopt new construction technologies that may emerge over the long term. As such, he said, it is imperative that contractors remain on the cutting edge of construction innovation through important knowledge exchanges. The seminar on project planning and execution was targeted at contractors who wish to bid for JSIF's proposals on national infrastructure projects. It provided an avenue for participants to learn more about the requisite construction practices and procurement guidelines. Managing Director of the JSIF, Omar Sweeney, in his remarks, that the construction industry is a major economic driver. He said that the sector is a vital component of the country's development and infrastructure growth and has a high demand in the areas of residential and commercial spaces. Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Honorable Nigel Clark, says the Stocks and Securities Limited SSL fraud case investigation is progressing. He says that the magnitude of the case has warranted a long and thorough investigation. A file was submitted to the Office of Director of Public Prosecution by the FID, Financial Investigation Division, for the consideration of criminal charges against individuals, and the DPP, he says, is doing her job. According to the minister, he thinks that the office has publicly stated that they will make a ruling at some point. Dr. Clark also added that during his opening presentation in the 2024-2025 budget debate in the House of Representatives recently, said the engagement of American financial and advisory firm Kroll was critical to the investigations. He noted that they undertook an independent forensic audit to discern the facts relating to the fraud perpetrated at Stocks and Securities Limited over the period 2010 to 2023. The company, he says, was selected because it did not have any connection in Jamaica and because of the complexity of the matter, the volume of transactions, the number of accounts held by clients, and the number of bank accounts held by SSL network of companies. Cabinet has approved the map of the proposed parish of Portmore prepared by the National Land Agency. This was disclosed by Minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for information, Robert Morgan. He said that the map's approval is a technical step that forms part of the process to make Portmore Jamaica's 15th parish. Mr. Morgan further stated that the government remains committed to Portmore's designation as a parish, and disclosed that the process started as far back as in early 2000, and there were town halls with citizens of Portmore. He added that the National Land Agency and the Portmore Municipal Corporation were engaged along with other stakeholders and outside government to come up with the boundary. He announced that the next step is to table and amend the bill in Parliament so that Portmore can finally become a parish, which is a commitment that the government has consistently made. Meanwhile, the People's National Party says it will vigorously fight any move by the government through the courts or even on the streets. The planned parish boundaries released last year would leave parts of some constituencies, including St. Catherine Southern and St. Catherine East Central, in the new parish of Portmore, while other parts of these constituencies would be in the St. Catherine parish. Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southern, Fitz Jackson, who is also the People's National Party spokesman with a special responsibility for affairs concerning Portmore, says that while there is still uncertainty about what will be the parish boundaries, there is cause for concern. Mr. Jackson says that the move would be idiotic if it is true that Municipal Boulevard, popularly known as I-95, would be considered the boundary of the new parish. He added that the PNP is at this time assuming that it's a non-starter, as it has made clear that any such move would be reversed when the party forms the next government. With over 6 years to go, the People's National Party is closely monitoring Jamaica's progress in achieving the goals of Vision 2030. The Shadow Minister on Science, Innovation, Technology and Entrepreneurship, Dr. Andre Horton, is highlighting the critical need to assess the attainability of these goals and delineate actionable strategies to propel the nation towards success. Chief among the Vision 2030 objectives is the elevation of average income from the current level of less than $6,000 per person annually to $13,000 per person. Dr. Horton expressed that achieving this target necessitates an increase in average income by more than $1,000 annually over the next 7 years. Based on our current growth trajectory, Jamaica, he says, may not reach this goal until around 2060. The Shadow Minister highlighted that amidst this challenge lies an unprecedented opportunity for transformative technologies such as blockchain, artificial intelligence, and big data. These innovations, he said, offer Jamaica promising avenues to enhance productivity and competitiveness through digital transformation. The Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, is reminding eligible voters, that should be individuals, that the deadline to register for inclusion on the May 31, 2024 voters list is March 31. The EOJ emphasizes the importance of voter registration as it enables individuals to exercise their right to vote. Eligible individuals, those aged 18 years and older, who are Jamaican citizens or Commonwealth citizens who have resided in Jamaica for at least 12 consecutive months, may apply for their voter ID card. Director of Elections Glasswell Brown stated that participation in the electoral process is fundamental to the functioning of the Jamaica's democracy. He urged all eligible members of the public who have not yet registered to take this opportunity to do so before the March 31 deadline. 24-year-old Marquis Ellis had several charges laid against him in relation to the shooting death of a 58-year-old businessman, Norman Dunkley, of West Cumberland, Port St. Catherine on Tuesday, November 2, 2021, on Trelawney Avenue, Riverton City, Kingston 11. Reports from the Duhaney Park Police are that about 10:40 a.m. on the aforementioned date, Ellis and his two accomplices, all armed with handguns, pounced upon Dunkley as he drove his blue Toyota Surf motor truck along the roadway. The men opened gunfire, hitting him before escaping in the area. Dunkley was transported to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Ellis was taken into custody on Wednesday, March 13, after a confrontation with lawmen in the Riverton City community. He was charged with murder, illegal possession of a firearm, and illegal possession of ammunition following a question and answer session in the presence of his attorney. His court date is being finalized. And a Westmoreland man was charged following the shooting death of 19-year-old Devontae Brown, otherwise called Silly, and the injury of three others in Crowder District, Grange Hill, Westmoreland, on Sunday, February 4. Charged with murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, using a firearm to commit a felony, and 3 counts of wounding with intent is 19-year-old LaShawn Warren, otherwise called Dodo, or Dodo Man, of Ghetto, Geneva, also in the parish. Reports from the police are that about 5 p.m., Brown was standing along the Crowder Main Road while the other victims were standing in a yard when a gray Nissan Latio motorcar drove up and stopped. Warren, armed with a gun, and another man who was armed with a rifle, alighted from the vehicle and opened gunfire at them before escaping in the waiting vehicle. When the shooting subsided, all people were seen with gunshot wounds. They were transported to hospital where Brown succumbed to his injuries, and the others were treated and admitted. Warren was apprehended on Wednesday, March 13, during an operation in Grange Hill. He was charged on the 17th after warrants were executed on him. His court date is being arranged. You're listening to news on NRP Media and NRP Radio. It's now 10 minutes going up to the hour of 7 o'clock. The public is being reminded that in order to minimize the traffic congestion, the following changes and road closures will be in place effective Tuesday, March 18, and that should be Tuesday, March 19 to Saturday, March 23. This to facilitate the smooth staging of the Inter-Secondary Schools Association Boys and Girls Championships at the National Stadium. Before the event, effective Tuesday, March 19 to Thursday, March 21, traffic personnel will be deployed along several roads in Kingston to ensure the smooth flow of vehicular traffic. On day 1, one-way system will be in effect on the final 2 days of the championships, that is Friday, March 22 to 2024, and Saturday, March 23, 2024. Arthur Wynne Drive will be operated as a one-way from North Avenue to Roosevelt Avenue. The upper section of Arthur Wynne Drive from Mountain View Avenue to Gate E4 will be operated as a one-way to access the Stadium Park car park. The slip road in the vicinity of the ticket office located along Arthur Wynne Drive will be utilized for vehicles proceeding into the car park. Barriers will be erected to separate pedestrians from vehicular traffic. And the reverse obtained when the event is completed. The public is being encouraged to obey the directions of the police, and that vehicles occupying the upper section of the car park will use the upper section of Arthur Wynne Drive to exit. Now we're going to be segueing now from the local news and bring you some sporting information brought to you by Hepburn's Glass. They are located at 13 Chisholm Avenue in Kingston, Jamaica. Keep it locked right here as we present the NRP Evening News Roundup to you right here on NRP Radio. Let's go over now and hear from Hepburn's Glass. They are located, as I said before, in Kingston, Jamaica.
Hepburn's Glass Supplies is the latest trend-setting supplier of glass and mirrors in the industry. We specialize in tinted and clear glasses, as well as mirrors for all your windows, doors, and closets at very competitive prices. To maximize your shopping experience, we stock 316 and 1/8 mirror thickness and 316 and quarter thickness in our entire stock of float glasses. We have in stock gloves, cutters, and suction cups at unbeatable prices. Our customer service is second to none, with same-day cutting for your specific measurements. Visit our office at 13 Chisholm Avenue, Kingston 13. Call us at 908-0962 or email hepburn.glass@gmail.com. Hepburn's Glass. Quality service is our priority.
And as we continue inside of our news story this evening, we kick off on football. The governing body of World Football, FIFA, has announced that the Under-17 FIFA World Cup for both men and women will be held annually and not every 2 years starting in 2025. There will also be an increase in the size of the tournaments. The Under-17 Women's World Cup is set to expand from 6 to 24 teams, and the Under-17 Men's World Cup is set to expand from 24 to 48 teams. Currently, CONCACAF has 3 spots for the Under-17 FIFA Women's World Cup and 4 spots for the Under-17 FIFA Men's World Cup. FIFA will announce at a later date the slot allocation for each confederation, but they have confirmed each confederation will see an increase in spots. Meanwhile, chairman of the technical committee of the Jamaica Football Federation, Mr. Rudolph Speed, has reacted to these latest developments from FIFA.
Right. So the Under-17 World Cup playing every year is actually a genius move, mainly because usually a lot of countries tend to just use the 17-year-olds, and then the 16-year-olds, would have been left behind. So what really happened is that they would be born in what you call a wrong year, because at the next World Cup, they'll be too old to play. So I think this is a genius move that gives every player under a certain age an opportunity to play in a World Cup, which is really the dream of every football player.
And Mr. Speed also responded to FIFA's move to increase the number of teams participating in the tournament.
The movement, the increase in the amount of teams in all the competition, again, is significant, because a lot of us developing nation really can't get to catch up because of the limited number of teams that actually play in each competition. So you don't get a chance to identify what the gaps are and you have to train towards playing in this tournament, because the gap is just too great. But with more teams being added, there is a reduction in the gap in terms of who can qualify, and gives Jamaica a better chance to qualify. Because once you're there, it is easier for you to maintain that type of discipline and the commitment and try to secure more funding to go there already. So it is really a good thing to go up to 48. I mean, in our region, there are some powerhouse teams. This will enable additional teams. I hope we get about 6 spots to be able to go to the World Cup, because that will really be great for Jamaica.
And that was the chairman of the technical committee at the Jamaica Football Federation, Mr. Rudolph Speed. On cricket news now, Royal Challengers Bangalore claimed their first Women's Premier League title with an 8-wicket victory over Delhi Capitals in the final in Delhi. Delhi crumbled from 64 for 0 to 87 for 7 and were bowled out for 113 in the 19th over, with Shriyanka Patel taking 4 for 12. RCB labored slightly in their chase of 114, but Australia all-rounder Elise Perry's unbeaten 35 helped them reach their target with 3 balls to spare. Delhi have lost both finals of the first two WPL tournaments, and the Capitals, led by former Australia captain Meg Lanning, also finished top of last year's table before being beaten by Mumbai Indians in the inaugural showpiece. And still on cricket, Mohammad Nabi's 59 and Rashid Khan's 4 for 14 helped Afghanistan level the 2020 series against Ireland. Afghanistan slumped to 14 for 4 early on in the Sharjah after Josh Little and Mark Adair both took 2 wickets. But Nabi's 38-ball innings helped the Afghans post a competitive 152 for 9. Ireland looked on course to win the series, though, as they reached 49 for 0. That 49 without loss in a 5.1 over before wickets tumbled, and despite late big hitting from Gareth Delany, they could only reach 142 for 8. The series decider will take place in Sharjah today, which will round off 3 weekets of action between the counties. Ireland having won the one-off test in Abu Dhabi, before the Afghans clinched a 2-0 victory in a one-day series where one of the games had to be abandoned because of rain. Ireland earned a 38-run victory in the T20 series opener on Friday when Tector hit 56 and Ben White took 4 Afghanistan wickets. And that's sports to the moment right here inside of the NRP Evening News Roundup, brought to you by Hepburn's Glass, located at 13 Chisholm Avenue in Kingston, Jamaica. Let's give it the theme. Then we're going to be paused on the time signal. We'll come back to wrap up the news.
The movement, the increase in move.
I beg pardon. That's not what we want to have played at this time. Let's go to the correct thing. Psalm 37 verse 8 says, don't get angry. Don't be upset. It only leads to trouble. This is NRP Media and Radio. The time is 7 o'clock. Psalm 37 verse 8 says, don't get angry. Don't be upset. It only leads to trouble. This is NRP Media and Radio. The time is 7 o'clock. Thank you. Psalm 37 verse 8 says, thank you so much. Don't get angry. Don't be upset. All right, we thank you so much for that. And we continue now with the news package, wrapping things up. Now we're going to be heading overseas to hear from the Voice of America in terms of the international news at this time, with Mr. Putin over there in Russia winning the election. Let's see if this is going to be the lead story in the international news at this hour. Keep it locked as we bring that to you right here on NRP Radio.
This is VOA News. I'm Joe Ramsey. Vladimir Putin has secured an unprecedented 5th term as president of Russia. The Election Commission announced the results of a vote in which he faced no serious challenges and which happened amid the strictest crackdown on opposition and free speech since Soviet times. Meanwhile, politicians across Europe rejected the vote as a sham and condemned Russia's efforts to stage elections in occupied parts of Ukraine that it claims as its own territory. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he'll dispatch officials to meet with U.S. President Joe Biden's administration to discuss a potential offensive in Rafah. AP correspondent Sagar Magani reports.
The agreement came during the first phone call in more than a month between Netanyahu and President Biden, who is urging Israel not to attack the southern Gaza town where more than 1 million displaced Palestinians are sheltering. Biden National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the leaders have aired their views.
And now we really need to get down to brass tacks
and discuss the way forward. Sullivan says the president told Netanyahu they share the goal of beating Hamas.
But a major ground operation there would be a mistake.
Agar Magani, Washington.
Israeli forces released footage showing what they say is the raid of Gaza's Al Shifa hospital on Monday and the discovery of funds and weapons in hospital rooms. In the night footage, Israeli soldiers can be seen firing their weapons and moving as a unit. The Israeli army said 20 gunmen were eliminated during the raid at Al Shifa hospital. Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry has said the Israeli raid led to multiple casualties. Hamas is a U.S. designated terrorist group. This is VOA News. The UN Food Agency says famine is imminent in northern Gaza, where 70% of the remaining population is experiencing catastrophic hunger. It says a further escalation of the war could push around half of Gaza's total population to the brink of starvation. The alarming report came as Israel faces mounting pressure from even its closest allies to streamline the entry of aid into the Gaza Strip and open more crossings. The United States is not ruling out continued military presence in Niger, despite a statement by the country's ruling military junta that it was ending an agreement allowing for the presence of American forces for counterterrorism missions. VOA national security correspondent Jeff Selden has the latest from the Pentagon.
Days after Niger's ruling military junta announced it was kicking U.S. forces out of the country, some 1,000 U.S. troops and other military personnel are still there.
We are working through diplomatic channels to seek clarification.
Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh.
I don't have a time frame of any withdrawal of forces.
Singh says, despite the junta's announcement that the agreement allowing for U.S. forces to operate in Niger was being revoked immediately, U.S. officials have yet to receive any hard deadline. Jeff Selden, VOA News, the Pentagon.
And that's the latest international news there, courtesy of the VOA for you. Stay tuned. We're heading now to providing you with the latest in terms of a weather report and forecast right here on this station. NRP Radio, wrapping up our newscast on an evening like this. Stand by. The National Meteorological Service of Jamaica is reporting that there is a significant feature of a ridge and low-level jet stream across Jamaica. Both the ridge and low-level jet stream are expected to weaken by late today. A prefrontal trough will thereafter begin impacting the island's weather. In the 24-hour forecast tonight and tomorrow morning, fair, then becoming cloudy, beginning across eastern coastal areas, then to central parishes. Tomorrow afternoon will be widely scattered showers across sections of most parishes. In terms of the 3-day forecast after tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, and down to Friday, Wednesday and Thursday, expect conditions to becoming cloudy with occasional showers, especially in the afternoons. On Friday, mainly sunny in the morning, partly cloudy in the afternoon, and there's a cold front across the Gulf of Mexico that will impact on the weather conditions across the region. In terms of minimum temperatures expected for Kingston and Montego Bay, in Kingston, 23 degrees Celsius. In Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius as well. That is the latest weather report and forecast right here inside of the NRP Evening News Roundup. Before we go and close out this news for this evening, here are the headlines once again. The construction industry named as one of the key growth pillars of the economy. Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL, fraud case investigation is progressing. PNP urges critical response to attaining 2030 vision. The EOJ reminds of the deadline to register for inclusion on the May 31, 2024 voters list. Police announces changes to take place at several roads in Kingston as the 2-day championships at the National Stadium gets going. The news this evening came to you courtesy of NRP Radio. reaching you where you are, no boundaries, no limitations. Here is your invitation to join us again tomorrow morning at 6:30 for the NRP Break of Day newscast. On behalf of the entire news and production teams, I am Leon Nash for NRP News. We encourage you to join this growing medium by subscribing, first of all, to our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is at handle NRP Media JA. That's NRP Media JA. Feel fulfilled and informed. We do want to wish for you a good rest of your evening, reminding too that if you walk, ride, or drive, make every effort to arrive alive. Have for yourselves a good evening, and we'll touch base with you later on. As a matter of fact, coming up in another 5 or so minutes from now, we're going to be doing a repeat of one of our programs. That's the Heart to Heart Talk Show at 7:15. Stay tuned for that coming your way.
Hepburn's Glass Appliance is the latest trend-setting supplier of glass and mirrors in the industry. We specialize in tinted and clear glasses, as well as mirrors for all your windows, doors, and closets at very competitive prices. To maximize your shopping experience, we stock 316 and 1/8 mirror thickness and 316 and quarter thickness in our entire stock of float glasses. We have in stock gloves, cutters, and suction cups at unbeatable prices. Our customer service is second to none, with same-day for your specific measurements. Visit our office at 13 Chisholm Avenue, Kingston 13. Call us at 9080962 or email hepburn.glass@gmail.com. Hepburn's Glass. Quality service is our priority.
It's 9 minutes after 7 o'clock here on NRP Radio. We want to invite you to go over to our radio platform or stay tuned on YouTube and Facebook for the program that's coming away at 7:15. That is the Heart to Heart Talk Show repeat. That's coming up at 7:15 on the YouTube, on Facebook, and on the radio platform. That's coming your way at 7:15. Stay tuned for that. Another 5 minutes from now. Until then, we're going to be skipping over to the radio platform, ending the news package here on YouTube. You can go back and watch the production that we have placed on YouTube and on Facebook at this time of this particular newscast. All right, so we're going to be ending here, and we're going back to the radio platform at nrpmediaja.com. nrpmediaja.com is our radio platform. That's where we're going to be heading back now. And then in another 5 minutes, you can rejoin us on YouTube and Facebook for the repeat program of the Heart to Heart Talk Show. Stay tuned as we do that at this time.